Hello everyone, my name is Richard and today we will be talking about the projects module, but not just what's going on in the projects module, but specifically what's new in the projects module, specifically in version 15, as we all know, that's what we're here for. So historically in the past, when it comes to our project module, the main issue we had was, of course, reporting and visibility. You can easily see what's going on in the project in the back end, but our clients didn't. There was portal view. And so the first major improvement specifically is related to the portal's perspective, the client's perspective more. And what's really important here is transparency. Of course, if you're working with clients externally, because a lot of projects are these days, your clients want to know what's going on. And so being able to keep them apprised of what's going on in the project at all times keeps at ease. They'll be at ease, they won't be stressed, they'll know exactly who to go to or where to go to see the status. And so the first big improvement is the portal visibility. You can share access to the portal view for what's going on in the project. And not only that, but they can see they can filter and modify what they see here. So as you see on the screen in front of you, you have the different group by stages at the moment, and you can see what project they're in, and they can pick and choose what they're looking at. So you have sort by, you have filtering by, as well as grouping by. And you can even search for specific tasks. And now once you see an overview of what's going on, you can dive into each specific task you want to see and see all the typical information you'd expect, such as who's assigned to it, what's the status of it, what's been worked on, what's the deadline, the notes that were taken, also the chatter, where you can then go into and reply back, hey, how's it going? So this is a good way to make sure your clients are aware and preview of what's going on in the project, and they won't have to be calling you, wasting your time every day getting a, hey, what's up, what's going on? So great way to give them a little bit more power in their life. Now, next is some reporting. Previously, we had some good reporting, as every screen is report in Odoo, when it comes to the task view. We had Kanban, we had list view, we had all the different ways to see that information. You had the group by and filtering to essentially give you a lot of power and capabilities to report by different metrics. Now, what was lacking, though, is a big picture, the macro view. We had the micro, now let's go macro. So we have some big improvements when it comes to how your managers can see what's going on with the project overall. So the first is the project view. This is not the task view, this is project.project specifically. And so we incorporated the same stages that you can see before. So now you can add stages to different projects. They're all shared, of course. And a lot of that Kanban capability is now made available for the project specifically, such as the status of what's going on, the red, green, orange little dots. You can see the time spent on it, all the different tasks, the deadline, which is a new field on the project as well. And so you have a good overview, okay, where are my projects at and what's going on. So that's the first major change we got going on with the project. Again, macro. Now, if we want to dive into a specific project, this is the update of what's going on. So before we go into the big left center side, we're going to go to the right hand side. We have the profitability as we always had before, but now it's a little condensed and summarized into, okay, how much time has been billed, what the revenue and cost is associated to it, and then of course the margin. And if you really want to go back to the version 14 in previous view, just see overview, and you'll get the same perspective as before. So a little bit more condensed. Again, this is a summary of what's going on. Then you have a task analysis, which gives you a quick snapshot of any tasks that are open and also any tasks that have been updated in the last 30 days. So you can see, okay, what's the momentum look like here? Then, now we have something even cooler, the milestones. In the past, we didn't have the ability to add milestones, so now we do have this. So you can add as many milestones as you want, remove them. It will sort them by alphabet. However, typically milestones have a deadline, so that will be the main source of formatting, or I guess sorting. And it will do that automatically for you. So you can specify and customize different milestones per project. And then you can tick them off that they're completed. These milestones are also very visible in later reporting, such as the dependencies Gantt view. Yeah, absolutely. So you can see what they're on in the deadline, so you can decide, okay, this needs more priority over the other tasks. Next, of course, is the big elephant in the room, the weekly reviews on this screen. So essentially, you can create these manually, of course, where you specify, all right, well, I'm going to update somebody. This can be done daily, weekly, monthly, however frequently you want. And so when we open that up, which I'll show you in the demo, essentially you can write down, okay, what's the main topic overview of this update? What date has it been done? What's the general status? Is it on track? Are we on hold? Or is this project at risk for whatever reason? And then from there, you specify the percentage progress of, okay, how close are we to being completed? And then further from there, you can even add your own notes. It will pull information from tasks, so you get a live update from there as well, just a quick summary. And then, of course, as a project manager, project lead, I want to note down any information that's pertinent that my management might need to know. So this whole view is great for upper management, anyone in the company to see, okay, I need a quick snapshot, I'm busy, I'm on the go, so what's going on here? Are things going well? We'll see more of this, of course, in the demo, but this is one of the biggest changes we have in version 15. Now we've been macro, we have that good perspective. Let's go a bit micro. Now we have a burn down chart. So this burn down chart is also new, and this will show us what's going on with the different stages and the tasks in those stages. So you'll notice a different color coding, the blue, the orange, and then the darker blue. These are different stages, and as you add more stages, the more colors will appear here. Now what this measuring at the moment are the different tasks. So how many tasks are in there, as you see on the y-axis. And then the x-axis is time, how much time has passed. And so you can see over time how many tasks have been are in each stage, which will update every single day. And for a project that has a deadline or that has a finite existence, you'd expect to see that this slope would go down. And so if you do see an uptick, you can open up and see, okay, what's going on? Why did new tasks get added here? So you get a good overall health of the project here as well. So now that we have those reporting out of the way, the next big improvement is our task management. We can go even further to see what's going on in specific tasks. Now, the view hasn't changed too much, of course. We want to make sure you're used to it and cozy. So the screen doesn't look much different. However, you might notice is that we have changed the assignee field. No longer is it a many-to-one where you can have only one person assigned to. In the past, if you wanted multiple people to be assigned to a task, you had to have added them as a follower so they can follow it there. But now you can specifically have multiple people assigned to the same task at the same time. It is now a many-to-many field. A quick and easy way to assign the project manager, the engineer, or anyone else that you want to add to this, and they'll be able to see it in their list of my tasks. First big improvement. Now the next thing you might be asking is, well, how does that change anywhere else? Well, this is a overall Odoo change. Not only can you assign a many-to-many field here, so add multiple people to it, but you can filter on it, group by. And this is, again, not isolated to project. This is a whole overall framework change across the platform as a whole. Now we have a planned date. You also have a range, so you can specify, okay, when I need to work on this project or this particular task, and then the deadline of when it needs to get done. You see the recurrency. That's not new. The only difference there in version 14 versus version 15 is that we've changed the view a little bit, the UI. So it's a little bit cleaner. Now the description, that section this looks unchanged. However, the biggest improvement, again, this one's going to be on a overall view of Odoo, is that this collaborative pad now is changed. You no longer have that bar on top where you can modify the formatting, the font, etc., italicize if you need to. It is now in line, so you can do a / and it'll give you a list of items you want to perform, so you can quick and easily type, so increasing your speed of taking notes and modifying what you see here. Again, this is visible everywhere else on the platform as well. Now then you'll see the subtask view as well. It's a tab there where you can see the different tasks. So no longer is it a smart button or integer counting all the different subtasks you have in the right-hand corner. It is just going to be a list view and a one-to-many to see, okay, what's underneath this. Then we have a blocked by, which I'll show you more a little bit later, but this is essentially a feature that everyone's been asking for a while. This is the dependencies. So now with the one-to-many in that tab, you can see all the different tasks that you need to work on beforehand. And you can see what's blocked, you can see the status of them, and open them up individually to see what's going on. I have a slide for that, I'll show you shortly. So the overall view of this hasn't changed, but there are some nice added value, quality of life improvements. So this is a list view of all the different tasks we have in this project. And you'll notice I'm grouping by the assigned to field, that new many-to-many field. So you'll notice here that Mitchell Admin is assigned to the energy certificate task in the office design project, but Lori is also assigned to it. So when you group by a many-to-many, it will list that record twice. And you'll see the assignees column, both their icons are there. This gives you a good idea, okay, what's going on, who's working on what, and so nothing really changes with the group by, but it's a nice value added. Now the next, of course, is that dependency I talked about. So here you can see the one-to-many where you have all the different tasks that are assigned as the dependencies of this particular task. So essentially, you won't work on this until you see that everything is done and ready to go. And you can view the task, open it up, and you can remove dependencies if you need to, and see everything in one place. Now, those are the major improvements with the project module. There are some honorable mentions that we will talk about. So the HTML field I mentioned before, that's the collaborative pad, so you can do the / and make some adjustments there as you see fit. Now, in the past, if you have a user who didn't have an image, it just was a blank silhouette. Now it's going to be a initial, the first name or first letter of their name, so you have an idea, okay, at least it's somebody, not a ghost. Now, another new feature is that we have an automated activity on linked sales order. So if you do have a service that you offer, like a prepaid pack of hours like Odoo does, you can essentially automate the activity being created on a sales order to notify the salesperson and say, hey, this service I sold is running out of hours. I need to work on it. So in the past, what happened is the consultant would need to communicate with a salesperson to say, hey, we're running low of hours. You need to sell more. That put a lot of onus on the consultant to pay attention to this to inform the salesperson. And of course, time is money. You want to make sure you know when you need to. So essentially, you can add specify a milestone of when this success pack is reduced to a certain threshold, inform or automate the activity created for a salesperson who will then know that they need to reach out to the customer and sell additional hours or see what's up and see what's next they need to perform. Now, we have task planning with a warning. So there is another presentation that goes more in detail about this specifically. However, the task planning in Odoo will not keep in mind if someone's on vacation or sick. And so if you try to plan someone in, it will notify you, hey, they're not available this day, you can't move forward. And then on top of that, with the Gantt view, unlike before, you can now see the progress of that particular task. So if you do have 50 hours, say, on this task, and it's in the Gantt view, and you see what's going on, who needs to be assigned to, when it'll be worked on. And the thing is, though, there's hours assigned to it. So how many hours are available and that's left? So now what's going to happen is there's going to be a progress bar that's going to be clearly visible on it to see how many hours are left, how many have been consumed. So you have a good idea of, okay, I need to be more sensitive to the time available. So that's up with the honorable mentions. Next will be the demo. So now for the demo, I'm going to assume that I am in a construction business. So the company essentially wants to provide services for other companies to construct their building for them. And a construction service goes through different steps and phases. Now, in the past, the way it worked was we have, of course, a project, and within a project you have different services, or sorry, the tasks in different stages. Now, with this, as you know, we have the ability to now report on a more macro level as opposed to micro. So I'm going to show you that here. Now, any work I've done specifically in the realm of construction is my best interpretation, as I've never worked in construction. So if there's anything wrong, please feel free to let me know so that I can improve my demo presentation skills in the future. So what I've done here in this particular instance, well, first thing you'll notice is this is the Kanban view of our projects. This is project.project, not project.task. So we've essentially reproduced the same functionality you had in Kanban view, but in Kanban view with the tasks, but actually specifically for the projects. So I can customize, as you see here, any stages the same way with the tasks. So for example, inspection. This gives me a high-level overview of the different projects I'm working on and what stage they are in specifically. So again, not micro with the tasks, but macro on the project. So management, if they're not involved in any of the projects on a regular basis, can come straight here and get a good bird's eye view from here to see what's going on with each project. Now, with the ability to fold these stages, it makes it easy to kind of condense the view. And of course, this assumes the idea that we are wanting to create a project per customer, right? So we're going to have one customer, one building, and we have a project for it, as opposed to a streamlined service where one project will be applied to everybody we sell to. Very much like just a regular consulting service, repairs, maintenance, anything of that nature, where it's a streamlined, you sell a service, it goes through different stages, and it's regardless of which client you sell to, they follow the same formats. In this case, we're going to have a construction template, which we'll use as a standard default for all the different services that we sell. So if I open up and view the settings, see more, we see that's just a basic construction template. Give it a second to load. Any more? Apparently didn't want to open. Well, no worries. We'll look at it here, for instance. All right. So we have the different stages: new, validate, in progress, and inspection, completed, canceled twice. Then we have these different tasks which I've created in the template specifically: foundation, electrical, plumbing, insulation, windows, and final inspection. Now, because this is a template, what's going to happen is when I sell a service, it's going to use this template for the next project. So that's a feature that existed in version 13. So it's not new in version 14, but it's also not new in version 15. So nothing really changes there. So now if I go to my products, find the construction service, here is a product I have set up. So I am selling a construction service, which is going to be billed based on milestones. So it's not hourly in this instance. It's based on completing certain objectives throughout the construction process. And that's something that's set manually on the sales order itself. Now what's going to happen is I'm going to have it create a project, not a project on task, or not a task, specifically a project. And it's going to be linked to the construction template I created. Now from here, we specify the unit of measure. Now, milestones, it's not a time-based unit of measure, so it really doesn't matter what you put here. The unit of measure is good for when you want to indicate, for example, with hours, 25 hours. I'm also going to sell a pack later, where you can essentially specify, okay, how are we measuring this? Now again, probably clicked a button there that wasn't supposed to, but essentially, again, because this is a milestone metric unit of measure, it's irrelevant to what I put here. Now I have the sales price, which is $1 million per milestone. And of course, this is just a default. You can easily change this on a sales order. And the cost. Now, a cost when it comes to a service isn't a flat rate. It depends, of course, on the workers who are working on it, what their hourly rate is, and any other costs associated to it, materials that you apply. So this isn't really relevant to specifically this project I'm working with. But what is the ability to create a task or project by selling it. So let's come in here and make a sale. So I'm going to create a new sale. Let's sell to QuickBooks. They want to buy one of our big buildings that we're going to make for them. We'll make it a little bit smaller than Odoo's, of course. Now, we will add the construction service. And because it's we'll make it 3 milestones in this case, specifically. We'll group some tasks together. So we have 3 milestones, 1 million each, 3 million total. Now, we can go through the full flow of sending an email, getting signature if we want to, but that's for later presentation. So when we confirm, just like with previous versions, this will create a project and a task. Now, if you'll notice, the smart buttons on the right-hand side are now pre-populated with 1 project and 6 tasks. This is because I mimicked that template I showed you earlier. So if we open up the tasks, we will see build foundation, electrical, plumbing, insulation, windows, and final inspection. Now, this isn't showing all the different stages. So let's go back to the actual project itself. Here's the one we're looking for, QuickBooks. And here are the different stages. So it mimicked exactly the template we had for all the different stages and the different tasks, which is pretty convenient. And the first thing you might notice is this on-track green button here. So when I open this up, it will take me to actually a new report altogether. And this is an amalgamation, a high-level macro view of what's going on in the project. Now, it's not as macro as the Kanban project view because that's looking at everything along the projects, every project you have in different stages. As a reminder, this is what that looks like. Now, when it comes to that status, that green button here, that's specifically related to the project updates. Now, the project updates, essentially this new view where you keep track of all the different orders you have on the right. So tasks, a new report burn down chart, more on that later. Time that's billed as well as recorded. You can see information on the different services. So here we sold 3 different milestones. So therefore, we are 0 of 3 units sold. We can see any hours that we might have sold here, effective and remaining, which we haven't billed any quite yet, and profitability, which as we haven't written anything down, no time billed, no invoicing, there's nothing here. What we really want to look at right now is the milestones. These milestones are a new feature where we can specify what milestones we care about. And so if you recall, we had 6 different tasks. And so I'm going to create 3 milestones, tasks 1 and 2 completed. We can specify a deadline. So today's the 20th. Let's just condense it. Let's imagine that we can build very quickly, perhaps with nanites or something. And so we'll just do, tomorrow we'll have tasks 1 and 2 completed. Task 3 and 4. We'll make that 22nd. And tasks 5 and 6. We'll make that Thursday. So we are a really big crunch here to complete this new building for QuickBooks. And so it's going to happen on the right here. I can actually make it for uniform. Remove that. It will originally organize based on alphabet, so A through Z. However, now that we've entered a time component, it will then sort by the time. So obviously the milestones that are supposed to be completed sooner will be on the top of the list, making it much easier for you. Now, since none of them are completed, we just started the project, it will just stay that way. However, once we check this box, it will complete it. We don't actually have to open it up and click it. We can do it in one. Now, on the left here is the other side of it. This is an update that you have to create manually. And this is great for an overview per project. It's a little bit more micro than the macro view of the previous screen, where we can see what's going on. And this is, again, done manually by the project manager, site director, or anyone else responsible. So when we create an update, we can say, well, initial update. We can see what the status is. And so these different statuses will impact the Kanban view and change the color coding. On track will be green, at risk will be red or orange, and then off track will also be red. Now on hold as well is available there. And so you can specify what's going on. All right, we're on track, and the progress is just started. We're getting some permits, anything of that nature. Let's just do 5%. And so the bar will fill up. We can specify who did it. That's done by the system automatically. And the date. Now if we look down below, we have this notes section where we have the sprint summary, how's this project going. So I essentially can write whatever I want. And if you recall, there's been some updates and improvements to the text field here. So I instead of having the bar up top to format it with a different bold, italicized coloring, I can just do the / and select from any of these different formatting options, the same ones that were existed before, just in a different view. So how's the project going? Just started. It is looking great so far. Then we have the activities down below. Again, this is all pre-populated by Odoo automatically. We have the profitability, pulling it directly from the different orders. Then we have the milestones that we just created. So it will take your updates and actions live and update it here. Now when I save it, all is good. And just like any all outward-facing documents, but also internal collaboration documents, the chatter exists. So the same functionality is always there. I can make attaching the images, files, etc. to make sure that everything is in one place, because that's important. Now that that's good to go, we can move on. So we have next the milestones that we just created. So let's create some dependencies. So if we're on macro, let's go micro. Let's go back to the projects and look specifically at the project, the task we want to work on. So task 1 and 2 is electrical and foundation, plumbing and installation is 3 and 4, windows and final inspection 5 and 6. We have different stages, so we can also customize these. Now, I did create a template, right, that will automatically create the stages and the tasks. However, that will be just for my basic work that needs to get done. Every project will be unique and custom, so therefore, it's easy for you to add new tasks whenever you need to, either manually, email alias is still a way, even import if you need to. So a lot of quick and easy ways to create and add more tasks here. Now because they're custom, you might want to create them on the go as you need to. But again, because there's some commonalities, an easy way to do that is here. So now we also have the Gantt view. This is going to be improved upon where we have some dependencies. So we can look at it by day, week, month, or year. Let's focus on a week. I'm going to add some new tasks. So let's say in this instance, we have some HVAC material and equipment we need to purchase. Well, the first thing we need to do is call the HVAC company. In this instance, what we want to do here is find the right HVAC units for this building. And so it's linked directly to a sale, and we can specify the time frame when it's planned. So let's just do 20 to 21, with the deadline being the 21st. Now we can also have a block buy. So this is the dependency aspect. So the dependency allows us to specify, okay, I can work on this task, but I can't work on it unless something else is completed. So I'll save and close this, and now it'll appear here, HVAC company. And you'll see here the deadlines, tasks 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6. Again, I shortened it, speeding up the construction process, just so I don't have to worry about extending the time frame. Of course, these will probably be down the line, because in reality, construction takes much more quickly, at least for now. So I'm going to add another task here. Let's call it HVAC delivery. So we need to manage the delivery process, or at least record that we have it, and we'll make it from the 22nd to the 23rd. Apply, with the 23rd being the deadline. Wait for HVAC pickup. Save and close, but also we can do save and new just to expedite this whole process. And create one more, uno más. Install HVAC units. We'll make it from the 23rd to the 24th. And deadline for the 24th, just like before. So now we have these different machines, and there's a crossover, or these different tasks, and there is a crossover, so when they need to get done. And Odoo will notify you with that little red icon specifying there's one task that this employee is working on at the same time. Now, that will be challenging for them to work on, especially because they're working on this, and so we can either adjust it or move it. So if we just drag and drop, we move it to a different date. Great. However, we can also open it and add more individuals. So let's also add construction crew 3 to this one. So we can both be assigned to it. And you know what, while we're at it, let's get number 2 on there. These are heavy. We can then add crew 2 here. Going a little bit too quickly. So you notice I'm just adding additional assignee. And so as you may recall from the slides earlier, the assignees field is no longer a many-to-one, where we could only assign one person to it. It is now a many-to-many. And this improvement is not just for projects, but this improvement is for across the application, every app. So anytime you have a many-many, like tags for reporting, you can filter and group by very easily. And we'll show you how that looks. And for this one more, let's add construction crew number 1. So everyone's responsible for different tasks here, with me being the overseer, in a good way, of course. Now we can group by in the Gantt view by assign to. So in the Gantt view, what's happening here? It looks like we're duplicating these records, but we're not. We're just showing which user assignee is assigned to which task. We can also build dependencies here. So you'll notice there's this little line with a dot at the end. This is a great way to essentially select it and draw the connection here. Boom. These are now dependent on one another. The call to the HVAC company has to be done before the HVAC delivery. And then we can do the same thing by drag and dropping to the install HVAC units. And now there's a dependency here. We can even change up the duration of each one, drag and drop them to wherever we want them to be. And you'll see that the dependency will follow suit. And so if we need to adjust, it'll move it to the next available date within business hours to prevent some issues there from happening. And so if we wanted to see what's going on with the HVAC units that we need to install, we can open it up and see the block by, which has essentially a one-to-many list view to see what's going on. Now we could add more here, for example. So HVAC delivery. So the HVAC units cannot be done unless the delivery is done, but also we have the HVAC calling the company. In this case, it's going to be the new SF office. That's the one we care about because the construction template just has it as a common task we have to perform across different projects. And so now we can see them all here and see what stage they're in, new and validate. I think, let's see, which one was this one again? Call HVAC company. Just make sure I'm adding the right task here. New office. Just like before, we have the kebab menu, and we can add the customer to see if we're at the right task. So in this case, these are not correct. This is the wrong customer. This is the one we care about the most. Construction template. And in fact, one thing the project manager didn't do is change the name of the project, because it's obviously this is no longer a construction template. This is QuickBooks new building, smaller than Odoo. Obviously, you got to make sure it's important. And save. So now all the dependencies specified and connected. And so we can, of course, move and drag and drop it to wherever we see fit. Now that we have all the dependencies set up and we can see them there, let's talk about reporting again. So we already have the reporting here of the duplicate tasks. They're not actually duplicated. It's just a way to see them, who they're assigned to. And we can see this in list view as well. So Richard, me, I'm assigned to 8 different tasks. However, construction crew 2 is assigned to these 2. And if we notice, they're the same tasks. So call HVAC company here and here. Install HVAC units, and HVAC delivery. And it's hiding somewhere else. I guess all right, it's only one person assigned to it. So this is how it looks now in the list view, very easy to find, and the Gantt view. So it again looks like it's duplicated, but it's not. It's just because each individual is assigned to multiple, or each task is assigned to multiple, so it's easy to see from here. So now that we have covered the basics of this, let's update the construction or the project updates and just say, all right, cool. HVAC update. For example, let's say at risk. What's going on? Well, not all HVAC units got delivered, and some of the ones that did are broken. Need to call company back ASAP. So we can see here that there's an issue. We can specify, okay, well, we're at 7.5% completed instead. And you'll see that any information down below, let's see, didn't add the task specifically yet. But now we save this. And if we go back to the Kanban view, well, you'll see what it would look like in the Kanban view. It's orange, at risk. So if we were to go back to the max micro view in the projects, you'll see that it is orange. So what's going on here, what you need to focus on. Now that we have the general reporting and the status updates, let's say we can continue on the building. We're almost done with it. We can even then go from here and add some recurrencies. So let's say that we've completed most of the tasks. Let's move the foundation into done. Electrical's done as well, just so we can show that tasks 1 and 2 have been completed. So if we want to update one more time, let's say task 1 and 2 are completed. That update will now appear in this next one. Milestone 1 completed. We are now at 33% of the 3 milestones. And you'll see its update reached as of today. So we are ahead of time, of schedule. And so if we were to go back and maybe lock some time for what we did, let's go to the project itself. Let's lock some time on these completed tasks. So edit. And just like in previous versions, you have several different ways of logging time. We can start and stop. Pause. Let's just stop it to be clear. Let's adjust what we actually have here. Let's say we logged about 10 hours in one day. Some construction work, very detailed. And the cost will be taken from my employee record. Now, if we go back to the sales order, course, it wouldn't be the person working on the task that would do it. It would actually be someone in accounting who would then find the order, QuickBooks here. We inform them, hey, by the way, a milestone has been met. We come in here, say here, enter 1. And again, this has to be done manually because of the fact that milestones are individual per project. Not all projects are made the same, and some of them will have different invoicing policies or different milestones to be reached. So we can regular invoice here. Only 1 unit has been delivered, so that's why only 1 unit is here, and confirm posting all the accounting entries. Again, that's going to be for another presentation altogether. But what we care about the most here from a project perspective is the revenue. So if we open up here, look at the project updates, we can see how many hours have been logged here. So I cost the company $50 per hour. I've logged 10 hours, so $500 there as a cost. My revenue for $1 million for that 1 milestone reached, and the margin there. And essentially the effective hours, remaining hours. Now, what I would do here to fix this, because there's 0 units there, I would essentially just change this to essentially mean whatever's available. So just change the initially bound hours on the task, which I can show you very quickly. If you want to essentially specify how much time each task should theoretically take based on your knowledgeable expertise, you would essentially open up any of these tasks that you care about the most and specify all the hours here. So this is a good way to plan and budget accordingly. Now, for all the different tasks you have in the system, it could be a bit cumbersome to add manually 1 at a time. So the nice thing is you can either import, but also export and re-import to get this information set up. And this, of course, will be based off of your professional expertise. So now that I have done that, let's set a recurrency. So I'm going to create a brand new task called maintenance. Monthly maintenance. Now that I've completed this project, and I want to essentially set up a monthly recurring maintenance to send a team out on board who will eventually just perform anything that they need to do, from repainting, retouching, making sure the electrical work. And so we set recurrency. So if we select recurrence, this is the new view. This is a slight adjustment. This already existed in version 14. So we specify how frequently we want this to happen, whether it's weekly, monthly, or yearly. And now we specify how long it lasts, and you're going to see the recurrency here. So essentially, every month, on the month, it's going to create a new task to be performed. So that's the biggest change when it comes to the recurrency. It isn't big from the previous no big changes from the previous version other than just the UI. So now let's update the client. The client needs to be able to see this. So one of the pain points with some clients or some businesses is that there's not a lot of visibility in terms of what's going on in the project. The client calls you, hey, what's going on? What's the status? I want to know. And of course, that takes up time in your day. They call you, you have to stop what you're doing and answer their questions and deal with them. So what you can do instead is we can share it. We can share this link to the client directly in read-only. And I'm going to exit out of full screen view just to show you what it looked like in Incognito. And so this is essentially what they would see when they access the link. Right now it's looking at all the different tasks in the project, the different reference number, the sequence, who's assigned to it, and the hours spent and the different stages it's in. Now, I would probably pick a better theme so that it's a little bit easier for my clients to see, but I'm not the best when it comes to web design. So I can sort by newest, title, project, stage, etc. It's a good idea of what's going on. Then this one here is specifically group by. So this is also new, where I can group by stage. And I can see, okay, cool, here's different stages, here's different tasks that are being worked on, who's assigned to what's going on with this HVAC unit. I can see all the notes, descriptions, chatter, etc. And I can already see, okay, what's been invoiced, what hasn't been invoiced, any history. So this is a great way to communicate with your client and keep them apprised of what's going on a regular basis, as long as you have a good project manager, project lead, construction site lead, whatever the term is. You can always keep this up to date, hire somebody else to do this. This way your client's always aware, reducing the time that your client has to call you and bother you with a million questions a day. Great. So now that we have the weekly status updates, we've seen them, we can see what they see, they're happy. Now, one more report that's brand new in Odoo is a great way for a project manager to understand, okay, what's going on? And that is the burn down chart, which I'm going to actually use the runbot for, because this burn down chart will essentially take uh, all the tasks that you're created and specify what stage they're in. So here we have projects. We're going to go to the office design. And here we have the burn down chart, a brand new report for version 15 as well. What this chart does, essentially it shows you in a line graph format how many different tasks are in different stages. So each stage is represented by a different color. And the more stages you have, the different colors you'll see. And the idea is each of these points is the number of tasks you have, and on the y-axis, and the x-axis is date. So over time you can see what different tasks are in different stages. And ideally, with a project that does have a deadline and end date, your tasks are going to diminish over time. So you'd like to see a downward slope. And if there's an uptick, you can open up and see, okay, why were new tasks added in this day or this month per se? So a new report, which is great to understand the health of a project, especially if there's a deadline or an end date for it. So that's most of the macro level reporting that is new in version 15. I do want to show you one last honorable mention real quick, and that is the fact that if you sell a pre-pack of hours, you can specify an alert to inform the salesperson. Now, oftentimes in a business, you have consultants who are not necessarily working alongside the sales, are not communicating on a regular basis. And what's important for sales is to be aware of what's going on so you can sell more hours. So I have here a product I've created, a 25-hour consulting pack. And in this case, what I have specified here is it's a product type service, prepaid upfront, and it's going to create a task in a project. And because it's a prepaid fixed price, I have specified a 25-hour unit of measure, which essentially is going to take the working time product unit of measure category, and it's going to be bigger than the reference unit of measure by 3.125, or 25 hours divided by 8 to get that value. And so essentially what I want to have happen is whenever someone sells this and the time goes below 75% remaining, it will create essentially an alert, a warning for the sales representative. So let's see that in action. I can save this, go back to sales, create a quote. Let's sell to Odoo. $25-hour consulting service. The unit measure will automatically be pulled in here. If I want, I can sell more than one unit. And let's confirm the order. So, looking at the task here, we jump to the task directly. Let's just log some time very quickly. Performed work. And let's log 20 hours. Now, 20 hours is definitely over 75% of the remaining hours pack. So, if I follow the breadcrumb back to the sales order, if we scroll down to the chatter, there it is. Upsell for sales order 55, because what happened is we reached below 75% remaining of the success pack, informing the salesperson automatically. And if your salespeople are utilizing Odoo as you might expect them to, where they're always making sales in Odoo, logging their activities, they're going to live in here all the time. And so they are going to see, okay, I have 20 activities I need to work on today. Open that up and see, here we go. Today's meetings, etc. And we'll go to the sales order, 1 late, 5 today. What are the 5 today I need to work on? And there we go, Odoo Inc., 4,000. That's a lot of revenue for my commission. Let's focus on that one. Okay, let's invoice them and sell more. So that is essentially the biggest aspect, the biggest changes coming in version 15 with projects. We're always looking to find ways to improve them. So if you have any questions, let us know. And again, my name is Richard, and thank you.
Hi everyone, welcome to this Q&A live with Richard here. So I think Richard, maybe we just jump directly into the questions because there are a lot today apparently. So
Sounds
that's
good.
great. Okay, so let's start maybe with the first one, which is the one from, let's see, there's a lot of discussion. Can you create a template with example 15 standard tasks with different timing linked to start or end of a project for similar projects?
You can. So essentially you can create a templated project that when you first you can just duplicate it, depending on how frequently it happens, or you can also just link that template project to a service that you sell. And so whenever you sell that service, it will create a brand new project mimicking that template, the stages, the tasks, and some of the information. I need to look exactly at the fields. I'm not sure all fields will be duplicated just because every task is a little different. And also depending on when you sell that service, the timing will be different. But yes.
Okay, let's jump to the next one. So the next one would be with the task dependencies. Are you able to complete a task that still requires another task to be completed before starting?
Yes. So at this moment in time, there is no limitation regarding the dependencies. So you can still complete a task that requires a previous task to be done. So that's something potential for the future, but at the moment, that is not a restriction.
Okay, let's jump to the question from Arnaud. It's another interesting one. So, do project stages have the same functionality as task stages? For example, can an automated email be sent to the client when a project changes stages?
Yes, so we essentially just replicated 100% the task stages and put it on the project. So if you were to move a project between stages, the automatic email will be sent. And you can easily see this in the configuration of the stages.
Okay, when it comes to project updates, does the progress bar automatically update?
No, because every project has different progress, but also progress is a little bit undefined. I mean, you can have one task that takes much longer, and when you complete it, it accomplishes much larger percentage of a project than a smaller task would. So it is all manual at this time.
Okay, it seems to be a lot of curiosity related to this new project apps feature that you are gave. Also, there is another question, which is it possible to have employees from different companies work on a cross-company project and timesheet on it with proper currency management?
So no, just because with multi-company, every employee is assigned to one company. So with the like the whole HR aspect and how multi-company works in Odoo, it's just a field, and so no, you cannot have cross-company work. But I mean, you could probably treat them as a contractor. It gets really complicated with accounting and also just general record creation. Um, we'd want to probably understand more about the use case, what's going on, to give you a better solution than to just have it one employee of one company just to enter information in the other one.
Okay, we seem to have a question which is related to the project template, which is asking if we can have predefined assignees in the project template.
You can definitely assign a employee or a user to a task. I didn't test if it would actually duplicate when you recreate it, would it automatically assign that same user? Something to be tested for, but it's an easy test you can probably just do on your own. But if not, I can test it for you.
Okay, let's see what something interesting that we can find. So there seems to be a question saying, can the automatic project generated based on sell order, where in a single sell order with more than two products, which has its project template, so multiple projects in one single order, sell order in that case.
Yes, every so essentially what happens is on a product, you're going to tell Odoo what you want it to do. In this case, create a project, and it's going to be linked to a specific project as a template or whatever you want it to do. And then you can have multiple sales order lines. So service one, service two, service three, X, whatever you want. And when you confirm it, it will create that many projects.
That's great, actually. Great feature. We have another question from Angela, which is asking if do dependent tasks get pushed back if the original task is delayed by a certain number of days?
You can manually do that. So essentially, when you go in the Gantt view, you'll have the arrows, and so if something's taking longer, you'll press that button and it will move it corresponding to. But you'd need to change the width of like the time frame, the start and end.
Great. Well, Nicholas is actually asking a very interesting question, and he's asking if you can speak a bit more to how project integrates with MRP.
So there really isn't much of an integration at this moment in time. I mean, you can use Studio to create it if you want with the different smart buttons, but at this point, there's not much of an integration.
Okay, there is a question related to cost for the project. So Alexandra is asking, how do I add a cost on that project? For example, construction material that I have purchased but not yet received in an invoice.
So, I mean, you'd have to create a bill. Well, I guess it depends on when the cost occurs. So when at the moment, what happens is it will only assign the cost based on the invoice it's created and assigns the analytic account, which is that project. So if you have yet to do it, therefore there is no journal entry, which also then would mean there's no analytic account already hit. There wouldn't be any cost associated to it until after the bill is hit. So we'd have to understand more of the requirement to understand how to best accomplish that what you're looking for. I mean, you could theoretically manually create a analytic entry and have it apply on the overview, but then what would you do when you actually get billed for it? Would you not hit the analytic entry? You'd maybe have to do some adjustments. Something to look into.
Okay, that's great, actually. I think it's a very good workaround. And also there is Bernard, which is asking a question related to if there is a solution for document management, sending and receive from outside organization in project, I would guess, but I'm not sure.
I'm trying to remember if there's a link with documents and projects. Don't recall, but we can easily use Sudo to link directly to specific documents if you want. You can always attach documents in the chatter as well. If you want a little bit more advanced work when it comes to documents and projects, we need to make sure that connection exists. I need to confirm that.
Okay. Well, there is a question asking what is the relationship between the project task and the task created in the planning? Is there an integration between project and planning?
There is essentially, I mean, it's mostly the Gantt view. There is not much of an integration as far as I understand. So it's essentially you're just creating it depends on how it's created, of course. Gantt view is the best place to go for that, all that planning, and also that, excuse me, the task dependency, but not if you create it just for the planning app.
Okay. There is another interesting question from Brenda, which is asking if it's possible to set dynamically a cost of hour per person based on how much they earn or other variables.
So the cost per person is automatically can be assigned on the employee record. So you go to the employee record under HR settings tab, there is a field for timesheet costs. And so every time they bill or log any time, it will be associated to that project in that analytic account. So if it does change, you'll have to go to that employee record to update that new cost if they get a raise, a promotion, or a demotion, whatever happens in your business. But it won't change per project, so it'll be pretty static.
Okay. Well, I didn't know that. Great job, actually. There is a question which is asking if we can invoice automatically the milestones set on the task.
No automation at the moment because milestones are, of course, unique per project and per client. And so it is something manually mentioned. So you'd have to, of course, in the project status, where you can set and complete a milestone, you would still need to communicate to the sales representative or your accounting team to invoice for that order, change on the sales order line that quantity delivered to X, and then invoice from there. And automation kills flexibility. So what might happen is you might add a new milestone. And so, or you want to invoice on a specific time period, maybe once a week, once a quarter, or what have you. So it's not automated at the moment. Anything's possible to do. You could do it. I challenge whether if it's absolutely necessary.
Okay. There is another question which is asking if there is a way to see the advance percentage by each project. So I guess they want to see the percentage progress bar for each project, like a status bar with the percentage from 50%, 30%.
Something that exists already on the status update. So I'd need to understand more about what what do you mean by that question exactly? Are you looking to see the percent on the Kanban view of the projects? That could be interesting. It's not currently a feature as I understand. Message me about that. I would like to learn more about what you mean by that question specifically, and I'll put my email in the chat or someone will.
Okay. There is one other question which is related to the project status, and they are wondering if it's possible to hide the information related to money in the project status to any user that has not the access or they're out of the business, for example.
From my understanding of that particular product status screen, it is very dynamic. I mean, access rights would be what we use to hide it. I'd have to see how complex that is from a coding perspective. Talk to someone much smarter than me about that. Get back to you.
Okay. Okay, let's see what else is as a question in the chatter. So Sarah is asking, how do I configure collaborative paths on the project?
To configure a collaborative pad on the project, you'd go to the general settings of the project, the macro location to enable it and turn it on. And then once you turn it on in the project app, you'd need to go to individual projects themselves to turn that setting on. And that will allow you to change it. Well, from a global perspective, you can decide to generally use it, and then on a per project level, decide if that project you want to use it. And then you can just send that link to whoever.
Actually, another cool feature. Thanks for this.
Absolutely.
So let's see what other question. There seems to be a lot of interest here. So is actually another question. It's from Kansu, which is asking if there is no way to see subtasks under main task in the main task list view.
Sorry, one more time.
So there is a way to see subtasks under main task in the main task list view. So when you open your task, yeah. So that's what he wants to know, if you can see the subtask directly into the list view of the main task.
Okay, so I mean, when you open up the task, there is a new notebook page. It exists in, actually, it is newish. So there's a new notebook, and the notebook page is a subtasks, listed in a one-to-many view, so you can see everything there. It is actually a change from it being a integer smart button on the upper hand corner to count what's available.
Yeah, I think we are just reaching the end, so I'm just going to take a quick last question. And there is a question which is asking if there is a way to see the progress of all the projects at the same time.
Yes, I mean, essentially what you want to do here is utilize the stages for the projects themselves. So if you want to see where a project is, utilize more stages in the project view, Kanban specifically, to see where they are at. There's no percentage or anything like that, but at least if you utilize the stages, it'll give you a good idea of what's going on. So it's just a little bit of configuration.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of questions still coming up. So guys, we are reaching the end of the time, and I would definitely advise you to join the extended Q&A link, which has been posted in here, and Richard will be available to answer further questions. So we thank you very much for your time, and we hope you enjoyed. So let's meet in the Q&A, extended Q&A session. Bye. Have a nice afternoon. Bye.